Sorry, I'll try harder.
Hello. Hey girl, what's going on? How are you doing? How was your Father's Day? Mine was interesting. I spent time with my kids. I'm not a father, I'm a mother, but it is what it is. And so I want to get on here today and talk about
Jelly
a
Roll filed
subject
for
that I
divorce from
probably,
Bonnie
you're like,
X
why am I
after 10
talking
years.
about it?
He's citing
Well,
irreconcilable
because I just want
differences.
to.
What changed
So
so suddenly?
apparently Jelly Roll and his wife have separated. Now, y'all remember that I first visited Jelly Roll when I was looking at GLP-1s. So I want to look at it now because apparently him and his wife are Splitsville. And I have a question that I want to pose but to everyone. But girl, I'm going to tune in because I got a question for you. All right? So tune in. So, hey guys, as y'all already know, I told y'all that I am doing Jelly Roll and his wife. So the question that I have for y'all, right? Because apparently Jelly Roll and his wife are separating and they're citing irreconcilable differences. Now, the thing is, I cannot imagine what differences that have suddenly occurred after such a long marriage. But the question that I have for y'all is, if your person that you fell in love with was a former sex worker, meaning they performed sex acts on another individual to earn money, would you A, stay with them? I mean, first of all, if you knew in advance, would you even open the door to sleep with them? Question 2, would you stay with them if they were still interested in continuing said sex work? And question 3, why would the relationship suddenly crumble after everything was okay? So we're going to look at what I'm looking at, and then I'm going to say how I say it, and we're going to go from there. So let me just say this, all right? Jelly Roll's wife is very attractive. Jelly Roll is known for what the name that he is known for, which is Jelly Roll. So I was looking at someone's video that I was listening to, and she came through and did the breakdown. And something she brought to my attention was the fact that his wife was a sex worker prior to the marriage. And apparently they enjoyed threesomes and all that fun stuff in the beginning. So the question that I have is, what were the irreconcilable differences that populated now? And y'all know that I attack subjects head on. I don't care who you are. So if you ask me the question, if I knowingly knew that the person that I was about to give myself to perform sex work for pay with someone else, I would say no. I would not create a soul tie with someone who had extended soul ties spread out to so many different people. Because when you fall in love, you're not just falling in love with a person's body, you're falling in love with their soul and your mind. So to get into depth with that, which I don't want to, I would have to go to find out what is pushing this person to do this job and the thrills. I think they had something in common until something changed. But according to them, they try and paint a pretty narrative, that's what we're trying to fight as society. We're trying to open the doors for truth and stop making everything look good. That's not cute. Busting it wide open for a lot of people, it's not cute. I don't care who say it. It may feel good at the time, but it is a sign that something else is going on beyond there. Nymphomania is real. One moment. A nymphomaniac is an excessive or uncontrollable desire for sexual activity in women, and abnormal or excessively sexual. In men, it is termed as hypersexuality. Now, the thing about it, everybody glamorizes things and says, okay, oh, she likes to have a little intimacy. Yeah, but that's usually caused by exposure to something at a very young age, just like they acute hypersexuality in men with them being DL or bisexual. They say the DL men are more hypersexual because of the fact that they have hidden desires. Okay, so we got to go back to the original analogy of their situation, which I don't care who says what. He's an obvious sex kitten. That's what she looks like, a sex doll. She's a sex kitten. So yeah, she was a wife, a mom, and I know. Well, actually, I don't care. As a matter of fact, I will even turn the comments off if y'all come off to me slick on this, because what we're not going to do is start to keep on putting up pretty narratives for obvious situations. So let's go ahead and look at this article and the way that it's titled, because even the wording lets you know that they're trying to make it look cute when it's not. Jelly Roll's wife, Bunny XO, marks 1 year anniversary of leaving X work. I was so scared to let go. So let's look at it in her words, in the way that it's written, and see how you guys feel. Jelly Roll's wife, Bunny XO, is looking back on her time in the X industry as she marks 1 year of retirement. Hopefully by that time, her vagina had regenerated to a smaller one. Yeah, I think like that. Bunny, 44, shut down her spicy OnlyFans site in March 2023, and on Tuesday, she reflected on the anniversary in a post shared to Facebook. Because let me tell y'all something. Much as I would strain myself sexually, one thing I'm going to stop letting happen is glamorizing shit. Because when you got people that's in real time preventing themselves, baby, I want to bust it open just like everybody else. But I'm not doing it because it's called practicing self-control. And I'm not glamorizing it either, okay? I have a daughter. There are young girls around here. Let's be real. That once they can read, they start reading the narrative that are painted by society and they get confused. So let's go ahead and see how she worded it, okay? A year ago, I retired from the X work industry, she wrote. I was so scared to let go of that part of my life and leave part of my business. But I had faith and let God have it, and he made sure I made it back tenfold. The Dumb Blonde podcast host has been open about her history as an escort, and both she and Jelly Roll 39 have spoken about how she was the breadwinner in their relationship before he found success. And she was, because when they got together, she went to his concert and she was looking out for him. Okay? On Wednesday, Bunny clarified her work timeline, because I told y'all know women want love. As she said that many fans had questioned how she retired from X work last year when she and the Save Me singer had been married since 2016. Post online, married for 7, was Ava Denise says, I'm confused. Bonnie replies, married for 7, but just gave up SW industry a year ago? Oh, well, that's what Denise said. And Bonnie said, what's confusing about that? I still always made my own money and shut down my OnlyFans last year. Not confusing, LOL. Okay. A lot of people seem to be confused as to how I just retired from SW work last year because I've been married for 7 years, LOL. So here's the answer. I'm an open book and don't mind letting y'all know. So, you are obviously an open book. Duh, you let all these people see you naked. Duh. I have always worked and made money on my own. When I married Jay, I refused to give up my independence and rely solely on him. And to be honest, he never once asked me to. He knew how important it was for me to make my own money, but he did always say, one day, baby, you won't have to do this. I have always, okay. Bunny said she started her own brand, Bunny XO, in 2018 using money she'd earned from X work. 2 years later, she moved on from being an escort. 2020 came and I retired from seeing clients and having sugar daddies and started my OnlyFans, which made me millions, she wrote. It was crazy the amount of money that site made me in such a short time.
Stay tuned for ET.
By 2022, she and her Bunny XO business had taken off and she could no longer justify still having that part of my life when the new brand I created was thriving so much. I also didn't want to be the only wife in the community, in the country music scene, whose b-hole was on the internet. But my husband never once asked me to give up anything in my life. So I decided to retire and 100% immerse myself into Bunny XO brand in 2023. But best decision that I've ever made. I bet it was for your monkey and your b-hole. Jelly Roll previously opened up about the start of the relationship with Bunny, explaining that he was living out of a van and doing shows for $100 a night when they met. I was dead broke and she just kind of took to me, and she was really making money in the X industry.